We're going live. Ben made me read the other. What was the name of the other one, Ben?
The Last Days of Jack Sparks.
Yeah, we're live. I hope. Last Days of Jack Sparks was pretty good. Yeah. So
it's easily my favorite novel that I've read in the last 10 years.
So Ghosted is it Ghoster or Ghosted?
Ghosted. Ghoster. Wait, yeah. I was just looking.
I think it's Ghoster
with an R.
So, Rich, it's not quite as good as the first one, but it's good.
It is good, yeah, but it's not quite. To be fair, Jack Sparks would be a novel that's really tough to.
Yeah.
First novels for a lot of authors tend to be really great, and it's hard to follow that up.
All right, welcome to the Lovecraft eZine podcast. I started it as usual while we're in mid conversation or argument, or both, as the case may be. Let me know in the side comments if you guys can see us. I think I did everything right today. But you never know when you're my age. Well, Matt, you know what I'm talking about. So, you're like 70, right?
Sorta.
Okay, so I think we didn't have a show last week. I was in a COVID relapse, and that flimsy excuse. And I think we were missed because we had more than the usual number of people waiting to start the live stream. So, and a lot of likes, which I'm always encouraged by before the show starts, that they like to the show. So that gives me a little buzz right there, when my mood's down. I do appreciate that. I'm not being sarcastic. You can see us, Matt? Okay, good. It's working. So, and I missed you guys too. I would rather hang out with people on this podcast than with the finest people in the world. So, what? Nothing.
We're all not sure how to feel.
Two things are actually one and the same, Mike.
That's true. No, it's a joke from Roxanne, Steve Martin. We were just talking about Steve Martin before the show started a little bit, so I had to throw that out there. All right, let's do introductions. And Gwen Callahan told me she was coming. She'll be here in a second. So let's just get started. She's going to spend a few minutes and talk about the upcoming, in October, I believe it is, HPL LOVECRAFT Film Festival. Obviously, going to be virtual.
It's the weekend after next.
Jesus, that's right. It's close to October. Wow. That's good. Anyway, speaking of Halloween this year, I've got some great news I'll tell you guys later.
What? They're sold out of the dragons at Home Depot. What the hell?
Let's
How can there be any good news?
What time? Sorry, Pete, you're too late. You're going to have to leave. Sorry. All right, let's do introductions. We need to start with Ben Handelman because he's had a rough time lately and he hasn't been here in a while. So, Ben, introduce yourself.
I'm Ben Handelman. I'm one of the higher end Patreons, and I help Mike with some of the technical side of things. I've been gone a while. I lost my father and an aunt to cancer in the last 6 weeks, it's been 2020.
Yeah.
No one loves 2020. Let's be honest here. No. So
I'm so sorry. In all seriousness, and as I've told you several times in private, so I can't imagine what you're going through. So anyway, but I am glad to see you. So, Bridget.
Hello, I'm Bridget Brenmark, composer, artist, person. If I may shamelessly self-promote, I just started a YouTube channel at Babs the Composer. If you want to go check it out, got a trailer on there for the composition workbook horror scary music thing that I'm working on.
Oh, wow. New YouTube channel, huh?
Yes. There's not a lot on there yet because I'm in the process of uploading stuff, but I'll be uploading scary music throughout October, so please subscribe.
Awesome. It's the channel URL. If you go to YouTube and go Babs the Composer, you'll find it. Okay. Or all one word, obviously, or you could Google, right. Obviously YouTube Babs the Composer would probably work.
Yes.
Matthew Carpenter.
there. We are not going to have a movie night for 1 and possibly 2 weeks because I'm going to be in transit.
Wow.
My father-in-law is celebrating his 90th birthday in a week and a half, and we're going. So there is a prize. It's this cute little book of Lovecraft puzzles. There's all kinds of stuff in it. Oh, it's really pretty neat. Handy little book thing. If you want it, send an email to ezineprizes@gmail.com and put puzzles in the subject heading. I have a few prizes I'm going to be drawing for in a week or so. This one will be in 3 weeks or more. So just if you want it, put your name in the hat.
I'm slowly catching up on the audio podcast, so hopefully actually 3 weeks from now, this audio will be up. Actually, I know it will be because I'm getting there. But Rich Bunting.
Hey, I'm Rich. I'm a lower end Patreon, not like Benjamin.
No, you're not actually.
I'm in a different library this week, and you can't see my baldness, but you can see the beard.
That, like I said before the show started, you live in a moor, on a Scottish castle on a moor or something. You have to.
That's right. That's right. Maryland is Scotland.
Yeah. You're sipping. Ben says you're sipping a $700 scotch.
No, it's actually pumpkin ale in honor of fall. I think tomorrow's the first day of fall. 21st? Or is it
I live
today?
in Los Angeles. We don't get fall here.
Oh,
It's summer into like some light rain and then back to summer again. So
Yeah, we in Florida we only have hurricane season and not hurricane season.
That's festive. Pete Rollick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm Pete Rollick. I write some things and I try not to drink too much.
well, if you're not going to drink too much, then I need to go get a beer and make up for the lack. That's only one person drinking on the podcast.
No, I'm
No,
actually.
Pete's drinking.
Oh, okay. Whew.
nothing stopping you, Ben. Go on and get that beer.
We don't want Kelly Young like rolling over in his grave or something. So
Listen to that sound. But it's a Coke, unfortunately. Rick Lay.
Rick Lay, writer who just attended his first virtual convention, PharmaCon, and that's a new experience in this age.
Oh,
It's what a con, sorry?
PharmaCon, Philip was a farmer.
Oh, okay. You just did or you're just about to?
I just did.
Oh, how was it?
It was great. It was Friday and Saturday.
Awesome. Did I get everybody? I think I did. Gwen Callahan should be here shortly, but we have other things to talk about as well while we're waiting on her. And she's not an official guest, but I didn't have one, and I realized the HP Lovecraft Virtual Film Festival is coming up, and she could spell out some details for everyone who wants to attend. So if you've never been, it's really cool, and I'm sure the virtual event is cool too. I'm gonna be there. So if that's a deterrent, I'm sorry, but I'll be there. Please remember, to the folks who are listening to this, that just about everybody here is a creator of some sort. So if you go to the Lovecraft eZine website, lovecraftezine.com, click on podcast on the top left, and then you can see if you scroll down, you can see the list of upcoming guests. And if you scroll down below that, then you can see the typical panelists, and I've got everybody's name hyperlinked. So as far as me, I try to make enough money to cover things here. So you can join the Lovecraft eZine Patreon. You can Google that or PayPal me at lovecraftezine@gmail.com. So let's see what else. Somebody shout at me if I miss Gwen. Oh, here's something cool. Alan Baxter, who's a really good writer. Here's a tweet from Alan from yesterday, it looks like. He says, David Wood and I wrote a short horror novel, our tribute to the old Hammer House vibe, called Dark Rite. Rick, you at least ought to be interested in this, I'm guessing. Right now we're giving away the Dark Rite audiobook to US and UK Audible members if you follow this link. Enjoy. So to get the easiest way to get that link is just to go to Twitter, and his handle on Twitter is just at Alan Baxter, ALANBAXTER. So there's that. I got a copy. I'm looking forward to listening to it. Let's see here. So, well, let's start with this. Matt, you guys watched Coherence last night. That's from like 3 or 4 years ago, right? You watched that on the Lovecraft eZine movie night.
Yeah, it's bloody brilliant. It's sort of a story based on the premise. You know, there's the old philosophical thought problem, which no one can prove, so it's great to talk about, is that the world is all quantum. You know, it's based on binary up-down choices. Okay, so if you're heading down the road and you come to a T intersection, you can go left or right.
Right.
That's
I told
dichotomous.
you before the show you couldn't really talk about this until Pete got here. So.
I'm not talking to Pete.
Oh,
He can sit over there by himself. It's okay.
Okay. Hi,
so
Glenn.
at that point, the world divides into the world where you made the choice to go left and the world where you made the choice to go right. So now you're in this universe where you went left, but your exact copy is going right. And the two worlds never interact. You can't get back over to the place where the choice was left, right.
It's like holding a gun to your head and playing Russian roulette and clicking it over and over. And if you like hit 15 times, you know you're the copy that didn't get killed. That's one way to try this out.
Yeah, I don't recommend that.
Oh,
you know,
okay. All right.
Exactly. You know, you could instead swallow a Mentos and chug a Coke. Okay, so the idea
Equally
was
lethal.
this movie is about a group of friends, and they're, I don't know, 30s something, and they're getting together for a social evening. So there's all the baggage that comes with being friends for a long time, and like who was dating who, and who was messing with whose spouse, and whose career's in the dumpster, and there's a comet in the sky, and the comet creates a situation where these dichotomous worlds can touch. And the way that they do this, where you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on, is really just a very clever script. I mentioned before the show started that it reminded me somewhat of Peter Klein's book, The Rift.
Yeah.
If you read, this guy is a well-known author, and he's been writing screenplays and novels, and he's very successful. He doesn't really write much cosmic horror, but he wrote this great book called 14 right? It was about 2012. I don't know, something like that.
Matt,
what?
I just wanted, it's not The Rift, it was The Fold.
The Fold. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Fold.
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
so
I just want to correct it for
well, thank you.
listening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so he wrote this book called 14, which is really wonderful, and you should read it. And this book, The Fold, is connected sort of thematically, but not character-wise. And
yeah, the 14 is more cosmic horror.
Well, this is cosmic horror.
Oh, it is. I haven't read The Fold yet.
But it's basically people think that they're teleporting. They think they've invented teleportation, but something's screwy. So they invite in this mathematician expert to analyze what's going on. And he realizes that they aren't teleporting, they're replacing. So like this dichotomous world exists, okay? And so if you teleport Susie 100 yards, you don't get Susie back in 100 yards. You get Susie, who is from world N+1, whereas your Susie goes into N+1's world.
The Susie you get is a sociopath.
Right. Well, but they can be a little different. So everyone's been teleported, and they've been multiple times replaced by different people and don't realize it. And so that kind of reminds me of what's going on in Coherence. It's a really great movie.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but there's this one scene where the group of them, they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they see another group of people down the street. and that's all I'll say. But it was just very well done. You remember that, Matt?
No. Oh, yeah. No, the whole thing was good. It's well worth. If you haven't seen it, it's well worth a look. And it's a big argument for why aren't you coming to movie night?
Yeah, movie night is every Saturday night except for the next 2 or 3.
Sorry.
Starts about 8:30 Central.
Have you seen it, Pete?
I saw it a couple months ago, and yes, it's rather entertaining. There are some neat ways of solving the problem of who's in what world and who's from what world. What Mike was describing earlier about holding the gun up to your head, and if you pull it 15 times and you're still alive, you're the one who survives in the universe, is actually very reminiscent of a Larry Niven story in which one cop is trying to figure out why everybody is just committing suicide in mass droves. And he consults through the process, consults a physicist, and he says, oh yeah, that's easy. This is the world where everybody commits suicide. There just has to be one.
Wow. I didn't know that existed. I'll have to read that. Is it a short story or a novel?
Short story.
Short story?
Yeah. And of course, then the cop commits suicide.
Yeah. Okay, I don't need to read it now.
Yeah.
Hey, Gwen. You're muted.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me. Sorry I was late.
Oh, no. We've got plenty to talk about. So,
Gwen, I'm just happy that you're in the house.
Yeah. Gwen Callahan is in the house.
No. She's in her house.
Oh, she's in her house.
Oh, yeah. It's not burned down or anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I watched you guys tape the house up.
It got a little scary for a minute. There was, for people who aren't aware, we live in Portland, Oregon, and the county below ours was on a fire evacuation watch where that level 1 kind of get ready to go, level 2, like get the car ready to go, and level 3, get the F out of here. That line kept creeping up towards our county, and the county line is only maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles away from where we are. So we kept watching that very closely. And the smoke in the air from all the fires down south of us was just overwhelming. The air quality here was like over 500 at some point, which is like really, really bad for human beings and things with lungs. And it was just bad. We don't have a great air filter, and our air conditioner won't, like the house HVAC system won't stay on unless it's heating. And so we didn't want to heat up the house, so we couldn't really have the air circulating through there. So we just decided to tape up all the leaky doors and windows, and ran a humidifier for a while, and just stayed kind of hunkered down and stayed inside and kept refreshing the fire map.
I'm glad you're safe.
I am too. Thank you.
I'm not a religious person, but I mean, look at this. It's 2020. What a year this has been. We've got fires all over the West. We've got hurricanes in Pete's neck of the woods. We've got a plague, lest we forget. It's just I can only imagine, what the fundamentalists are preaching right now. That this is
living together.
Cats and dogs living together.
Yeah.
And there was an earthquake in LA yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
there's the fourth horseman. Yes, thank you.
It was like a slight bump. I don't know about earthquake. It lasted for like 2 seconds.
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5, 4.6. I think a game, one of my Monopoly games or something fell over. That was about it. But no, and I mean, Mike, all that stuff you mentioned, you didn't even mention what's going on with our government. Like,
yeah,
like that. That's bad enough. I don't even. Like I said before, I lost 2 family members to cancer in 6 weeks. I mean, 2020 hates everybody right now. We're all suffering.
Yeah. And then the depression factor and all that from all the isolation. So anyway, before
Mike, how are you doing? Are you still recovering? Are you?
I was talking to Linda Addison about this because I had COVID like 7 weeks ago, something like that. And she had it like a month or two before that, and she's got this really slow, long recovery. And so I was kind of okay for a bit, and then I started feeling worse than I ever did when I first had COVID. I mean, terrible. And so I went and got tested earlier this week, negative. And I was talking to Linda about it. I was like, what the hell is going on? I don't even know what's going on here, because I don't have the flu. I don't have COVID anymore. And she's like, she pointed me to a group on Facebook, and she said that the recovery from COVID has been really downplayed, that it can permanently affect you, and that you can work too hard and have relapses. And then, long story short, that's basically what's going on with me. And then Friday, I started feeling somewhat better, and Saturday. And today I'm not feeling as good as I was then, but I'm a lot better than I was a week ago. So, yeah, that's the story.
Aren't they calling it long hauling?
Yeah. Yeah. And as Dr. Carpenter told me once in private, he's like, we're talking about the people who died who are dying from COVID, as we should, but the people who live a lot of them have permanent issues, right, Matt? So
yeah, there's a number of professional basketball players who can't play anymore because of myocarditis. Their career is over. I had a friend who got COVID. He's a physician. He got a movement disorder like chorioathetosis, uncontrolled, can't feed himself movements, and had to go on heavy duty Parkinson drugs. He is now back at work, and he relies on his technical skills with his hands to work, but he has to take these heavy duty whack-a-mole drugs to be able to do it. And I have no idea if he's going to recuperate completely where he can go off the drugs.
Now that you say that, I had forgotten 7 to 10 days ago, for about 3 or 4 days straight, my hands were shaking really badly. I couldn't type. I kept dropping things. It was pretty bad. Not as bad as your friend, is what you're describing your friend, but yeah, I mean, if you've had COVID, or you have a friend who's had COVID and they're recovered and they're negative, and they don't seem to be, normal, then that is normal. It can be a long haul. So just FYI for people going through this, you're not alone. But anyway, on a more fun topic, when does the virtual HP Lovecraft Film Festival start this year, Gwen?
When? October 1st. So we actually expanded a day.
What day of the week is that? Sorry?
Thursday, October 1st, there will be an evening show.
Okay.
And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there will be afternoon and evening shows. So films will start around 1 and run until 11. And there'll be like little breaks in there, and live filmmaker Q&As with it. So it's not going to be like 10 hours just of straight back-to-back films.
Will there be virtual panels this year?
Yeah, so we have a number of panels and presentations and author readings that are going to happen. Some of them will be live so that the audience can ask questions, and some have to be pre-recorded because of people's schedules.
Right.
So we're going to have a panel on Lovecraftian cinema with Barbara Crampton, Juan Vu, and Jan Roth, who did Defarb, and Richard Stanley. Richard Stanley is working on, and then all three of them are working on new Lovecraftian films that are coming out. So I thought I wanted to get them all together and have them just kind of give us a little.
Isn't Victor going to be there too?
Yeah, and Victor's going to be on our panel with Zin Rockland, Craig Gidney, and Cassandra Kaw, moderated by Oscar Rios. They're going to be talking about the evolution of cosmic horror, kind of where it came from. H.P. Lovecraft was racist, and a lot of people think that kind of permeates his writing. You can have different opinions. I have different opinions about that. But we're going to talk about kind of where it came from and what it means in the modern context and where it's going. So I think it's one of these things that has evolved and doesn't belong to any one person anymore. We've kind of everyone who's writing in that genre is making it their own, and it's really exciting to see what's happening.
Well, and the cosmic horror even existed before him, but he just really you might say, popularized it, I guess. So this is more. So yeah, that'll be an interesting panel to watch. So you have an event page on Facebook. I think that I linked to it in the show notes. I'm pretty sure that I did. Somebody watching can tell me if I did. And then also, what can they Google to get tickets and so forth, Gwen?
Right now we have a Kickstarter campaign going. So this year's festival, because everything's online, is a little more, the ticket setup is a little more complicated than normal. So we're trying to get those up as quickly as possible. But it'll be sometime, hopefully this week, that the regular tickets are on sale. And we're doing our annual
Fax your
Kickstarter.
$100 bills to this number.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it won't be quite that. I think there'll be like 65 for a full festival pass, which is
no, I'm kidding. Yeah,
it's like 20 hours of films or something. But the Kickstarter campaign is a cool package. You get a special supporter T-shirt that you can only get in the Kickstarter, a lapel pin, and streaming festival. And this year, everybody in the world can stream it into their home. So for people in the US, like because of licensing and permissions, we can't show everything to everyone. But everyone in the US will be able to see everything. And then everyone in the rest of the world will be able to see like most of it. I think at least 3 or 4 short blocks of films and at least 2 features, plus all of the panels and presentations.
And look, this is not a good thing by any stretch of the imagination, that we have to do it this way, COVID and 2020 and everything. But just one silver lining is the fact that if you've not been able to go to the HPL Lovecraft Film Festival in the past, because of your work schedule, because of whatever reason, you can go this year. And it really is pretty cool, honestly. So I'd like for you to maybe give us a short rundown of some of the films, just to, kind of whet our appetites in a second. But we're also going to do, you were emailing me the other day about, you want to do a short talk or tribute to Joe Pulver, right?
Yeah, so Joe Pulver, gosh, he came out to the festival. Like, we met him when we were still vending at the festival before Brian and I started running the festival. He was a guest and we had met him, and then he moved to Germany, and I think we went to Berlin on a vacation at some point and met up with him and hung out with him, and then the following year brought him out to the festival to be a guest. And I think we do that 2 years in a row.
I don't know. One year you guys were kind enough to do a Kickstarter stretch goal to get Joe and I there.
Yeah.
So
and
that was a lot of fun.
I feel like he came a second time too, but
I'm pretty sure.
Sorry, my brain this year is like really not.
Sometimes in my memory, Necronomicon and the film festivals get a little mixed up. I'm like, was that conversation at Necronomicon or at the Lovecraft Film Festival?
But he's always been a great supporter of the festival, and just watching him interact with other authors and like his willingness to collaborate and help other budding authors, help them out, and like generous with his time and generous with his professional advice and mentorship. He was a very important part of the Lovecraft community, and one of the things that we're going to do in the festival is have kind of some of his closest friends gather and just have a little, like a memorial, and just kind of share memories and talk about him and raise a glass. So
if he wasn't so reserved, that was the only thing about Joe. He's just too quiet, right? Which is not true. If you didn't know Joe Pulver, the exact opposite is true. Some of my favorite memories of the film festivals and Necronomicon is, walking outside the hotel and seeing Joe Pulver out there, and there was always a crowd around him listening to him talk. So that was just kind of a staple, sort of like Willem Pugmire on that bench. That was one of his main things. And Joe was always outside a hotel door smoking, and dozen people standing around talking to him. So who's going to be, I know you're still in the process of bringing those people together, but do you have a short list yet, or do you know?
Yeah, so it's gonna be you and Kelly and Mike Griffin and
Whoa,
I don't
whoa,
know.
whoa,
I don't
whoa,
know
whoa.
if Rick and
Kelly
Matt.
Young?
Yeah,
Okay, that's all right.
I know. Put aside your differences for a minute, Mike. And
Yeah, he's
you know,
my nemesis. We've always been each other's nemesis. No, I'm kidding. So anyway, go on.
And I had sent a message to Rick and Matthew Carpenter there. You guys.
Oh, they never responded.
Did I get a message?
Well, Matt never responds.
I have a
Rick
direct
does.
email for either of you, so I Facebook messaged you. But I knew I was going to see you today too. So if you would like to be on the call as well, I would love to have you participate.
Awesome.
You don't have to tell me right now. You can wait.
I'll have to check the schedule.
Okay.
I would like to. I've been having a lot of problems with Facebook messaging. It doesn't tell you that you have message pending.
Yeah.
I have to check it regularly.
Yeah, if you remind me later, I can give you Rick's email, or Rick can if he's got your email. So, but yeah, do you have that time set yet, or are you gonna let us know later?
I'll let you know. I think it's going to be on Sunday though.
Okay, all right,
Or in the evening,
sounds good.
but we'll figure it out.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, Gwen. What time Sunday roughly?
It'll probably be. Yeah, I don't know. We're actually working on nailing down the schedule today because
I think I'll be around because I think Saturday's my travel day.
Okay.
So I think Sunday will be good.
Okay.
Oh my.
as long as it's not 6 to 8 Eastern, because I do this other thing on Sundays at that time.
Right.
But I'll try to make it work no matter what. But if at all possible. So anyway, you're gonna show a lot of short films, right? About
We're
how
gonna
many?
show, we have. I think we counted up today. We have 63 films to
Wow.
show, and 6 of those are indie features, which is I think more than we've ever had before. We have 20 films from 20 different countries. So we've got a very international lineup.
Oh, wow.
We've got a really great short film from Turkey, right? Sorry, Brian's sitting over there.
He's invited too?
He's my extra hard drive brain. He's my extra brain. So we got a really great short from Turkey, which we don't see a whole lot of films from there. So I'm excited about that. And one from Japan, we've got some from Ireland and Argentina and Sweden, Norway, Finland, Taiwan.
Yeah, can Brian hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Brian, Gwen told me she would only come on if you weren't on camera. So
Yeah, I told him that.
Dude, you have way more nose hair than my dad.
So are some feature length? Are most short films? Are they all short films?
So 6 of 6, we've got 6 feature films, and actually all of the films are listed on our website right now.
Okay.
If you go to hplfilmfestival.com and then go into the Portland portal, there's a little button for Portland, and on the left-hand menu bar, or just in that page, you'll see all the film listing if you scroll down. There's a million of them.
It's HPLFilmFestival.com.
Yeah, or HPLFF.com.
Oh,
also,
okay.
Also works.
Okay. Before I forget to ask again, how do they get to the Kickstarter, and how many days are left for that package?
So the Kickstarter will end on Friday at 3 p.m. East Pacific time.
So can I just say something?
Friday the 25th.
The Kickstarter's doing really well right now, but that only covers a fragment of the cost. You know, they do depend on ticket sales. So if you, in addition to streaming, you get to support all of this artistic, creative effort. So it's not just the swag; it's just the swag. But what you want to do is sign up to support these artists, so we can keep this film festival going. And maybe next year we'll all be rubbing elbows again.
Yeah, hopefully. And Brian and Gwen aren't getting rich off these Kickstarters. There's a hell of a lot of cost.
No.
They're not like Rich Bunting and his famous house.
Exactly.
Exactly. Actually, I have a question. Are there? I mean, I've never been to one of these, but I know there are vendors there. Are there
Oh, gosh,
opportunities?
it's magnificent. You got to go next time.
I will. But are there opportunities to buy things like a virtual store for virtual vendors to buy all the things you might be able to if you went?
I'm glad you asked that. The answer is yes. We're gonna have a virtual. We'll have a virtual Mall of Cthulhu. I'm in the process of having some of our regular vendors give me products, and we're gonna basically post them in the Mall of Cthulhu. But when you click on the buy button, it'll take you directly to their website to buy it directly from them. So we're just doing it as a service to them so that people can support them and they can get some sales off of this, because like everyone's conventions are canceled, and a lot of the virtual vendor halls they're not great. So we're just keeping it simple. Like you'll see a page in the Mall of Cthulhu when it's all done. You'll see a page with like a bunch of products, and then like a link to the person's store page where you can find more of their things.
Really, simple. If it was not for people like Brian and Gwen, people like Niels Hobbs for Necronomicon, they keep these things going for the fans and for the love of it. There's easier ways to make a living, so they deserve our support. And besides, the whole thing is just really cool. Now on the live chat, Hisham, I hope I'm saying your name right, Hisham. He says they've also got a cool concept for this year's VIP party.
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to talk about that?
God, you guys are doing a better job of promoting all of this than I am. I just let you talk about it. So the VIP event this year is traditionally kind of like a lodge meeting where it's a gathering of cultists and kind of to open the gates and celebrate the event. For Yog-Sothoth, in case anyone was wondering, but it's a drive-in event this year. So we have a secret location in the Dalles, Oregon. It's really kind of, if you're in the southern Washington area, northern Oregon area, it's possible that you could attend. We have a rate with the nearby hotel in the Dalles, and it's going to be from 7 to 10 p.m. on Wednesday, September 30th. And it's this cool venue where they've been doing outdoor films for years, and they put up a drive-in screen this year or last year, and you can fit 40 cars in there. They have all kinds of snacks and beverages, and it'll be social distanced. Right. You'll get to sit in your car. They will bring food to you, so you don't have to go inside or touch anything if you don't want to. And we'll be there, so we'll be able to wave to you. We'll be able to stand in front of your car and wave to you through the windshield, say hi. And then we're going to show you some cool movies, which are secret right now. Awesome. You'll find out. If you come to the event, you'll find out what they are.
How do you sign up if you want to come to the event? What do you do?
The only way to do that is through the Kickstarter campaign by signing up for a VIP level. So the VIP level contains the festival stream, the exclusive t-shirt and the lapel pin, and also the drive-in event. And when you get the drive-in event, because it's kind of a drive from Portland to the Dalles, we're putting together a little packet that we're going to send you with like a parking permit, a lodge parking permit that you can put on your windshield. That'll give you entry to the event, and a little brochure with a driving tour map and an audio file that you can listen to on the drive. So it'll point out spots of historic significance with a mythos.
We're broadcasting this live on the 20th of September, 2020. So if you're listening or watching this later or listening to this later, so basically you have 5 days from today, not September 25th. I think you said Friday. How do they access the Kickstarter? Is that off of hplff.com? Is there a link there?
There is a link there, and there's also a link in the Facebook event. Is there a short link? We have a short link that's bit.ly. Oh, okay, you did that. Okay. If you go to kickcthulhu.com, that should also take you right to the campaign.
Oh, that's nice.
I've linked it on the Facebook page for the eZine.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Okay, guys, any other questions for Gwen?
I got a question.
Yeah, please.
Gwen, can you explain how the streaming is going to work?
Sure. Like how is it actually going to work? You will get a login. So for people on the Kickstarter, you'll get a login to our website where we're going to be hosting the video securely. So you'll have to log in, use your password, and then you'll have kind of a portal where you'll be able to see each day's films. You'll be able to see all the panels and the Q&As and the readings and presentations as well. And then as they launch. So on Thursday's program will become available and it stays available until the Monday after the festival ends. So you'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and most of Monday to watch it. And then Friday's content will go live and you'll be able to watch that until Monday. And it's kind of on a rolling basis so that people have plenty of time to catch up on things if they missed something. We'll have a schedule published so that if you do want to see all the live Q&As, you can keep up with like watching the proper thing beforehand. And then
can I just say, you did this streaming for the event that was to be based in Providence, as it were, a month or so ago, and I streamed like 2 blocks of the short films. It worked out great. You know, sound was great, visual was great, and I could do it at my leisure during the time that it was available. So it's really a good ticket to buy. There's no reason not to do it.
And it's got to be easy to figure out because Matt still has an AOL.com email address. So
they did it with smoke signals.
Oh, did they? Okay.
It's pretty simple. When we have instructions on kind of if you want to watch it on your computer, that's really easy. You can just plug an HDMI cable into your TV from your computer if you want to watch it there. And we're putting together kind of a guide if you want to try to cast it or watch it on different apps.
Yeah, someone just said just exactly what you just said, and I was thinking if you can, with a lot of TVs these days, like if I want to watch something on YouTube, I can cast it to my TV.
Yeah.
Will that be similar? Do you think people will be able to do that?
I think so. We're I mean, the definitive answer is I think so. Like we're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to do that because the movie watching experience on your TV as opposed to like your phone or your tablet is a kind of a big difference, at least for me, being able to, you know, relax and watch something.
Right. I mean, yeah, there's always the HDMI cable as you and Mr. Campbell and the.
So we'll be putting together kind of a guide on like if you've got this is how to do it. If you have a Fire Stick, this is how to do it. If you've got a Roku, this is how to do it.
Okay, that's great. So it basically, if everyone forgets all the links from this, if you remember HPLFF.com, you can branch off everything from there, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and also important and encouraging to Gwen and Brian would be obviously click on the Facebook event and say that you're going and or interested, and that's always encouraging for them, I'm sure. So
yeah, and if you do that when we post updates, you'll get notified if you have.
Oh, okay.
Assuming you have your notifications enabled.
Right.
If you like say you're interested or going to an event, when we update it, you'll get notified.
All right. So Pete, what questions do you have?
What questions do I have? I have to ask Gwen and Brian how forgiving they are.
About what?
Because
in general, Pete Rollick in general.
Well, first, are
you wearing a prison shirt right now?
No, I'm not wearing a prison shirt. So, no, I'm not going to go into details, but look at your inbox from earlier today. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Oh, Gwen.
Okay, I'll see.
And second,
what did you do, Pete?
What have you done?
This whole week got away from me. Anyway, no, it's just Gwen, give me a call or Facebook me or something later on this evening. I need to talk to you, or Brian. It doesn't matter who. So anyway, yes, I have no question.
Is it about you? How you're late?
Yes, I'm always late.
Okay. He was late today.
Actually,
I empathize with that. I identify with
never
that.
as late as John Langan, though. In fact, he didn't even show up today.
Here's the funny thing is I sent you guys a story for this convention 6 months ago.
You did?
Yep.
Wow.
It
Okay.
probably went in their spam folder, Pete.
No,
They've got you filtered.
That might have,
It doesn't
that
matter.
might have been 6 years ago.
Blame the pandemic.
I'm blaming the pandemic.
it is. Okay, so there is. I'm literally okay. So when my wife Mandy was pregnant, we always talked about mom brain. That
Yeah.
things just didn't work the way they used to,
No.
and connections that you would normally make just don't get made. And I really think there's pandemic brain going on too. It's just like we don't make all the regular connections that we used to. I mean, it used to be that it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go home from work. I'm going to pick up dinner. I'm going to come home. Now you actually have to think in a different way. And
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
it's not easy to break 20 years of routine.
I mean, look at Stephen King. The guy has to work from home now. You know?
But no, so okay. So seriously, what questions do I have for Gwen besides if she's going to forgive me for being late? How is all this working? I mean, I didn't get to go to the one back in August because I just once again completely forgot about it until it was too late. But so you're streaming the movies live, and if you're going to do it multiple times through the course of the weekend, and
Oh no. The
No,
films
no.
will not be streamed. The films will not be streamed live. They will be accessible to you throughout the weekend.
That's right.
So
It's when The Boys comes up on Amazon Prime. You don't have to watch it at the same time as everybody else.
right.
all
you
right,
know? So,
okay.
But
Kinda
they'll
like
be
that.
released on a rolling basis, and then they will stay active. You'll have pretty much no matter what day you buy a ticket for, you'll have at least like 24 hours to watch the content.
Okay. All right.
You
that's
know,
it.
and no pressure because you got enough pressure on you. But for like, say I hope you don't, but if you have to do a future virtual film festival, like I used to do them. Matt now does them for me the Saturday night, Lovecraft eZine movie nights. Those are live, and you can text chat with the people that you're watching, so it creates kind of a group experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, that can't be managed for this, and I'm not even suggesting that you're dropping the ball on that or anything like that, because you guys have so many balls in the air with getting this going and running efficiently. But that would be cool, maybe if you ever have to do it in the future. Something to think about anyway.
Yeah, that's something to look into. Because we're considering one of the things that we're trying to do is also support the theater that we would have the physical festival in, because of course they're closed right now and are not having a great amount of income.
Yeah.
So their ticket sales support them as well, and we're talking about kind of doing periodic one-off things where it's not like a giant full-blown festival, but maybe like a one-night film or film series or something like that. So that's something to consider that we could do. We got to set it up, but we're going to put together a Discord server so that people can chat with each other.
Oh my God! Somebody
and ask questions and things like that. So
just
there will be more information on that and how that's going to work as I have it.
I keep looking at your name, B. Campbell on the side chat, and I keep thinking Bruce Campbell's here. This is great. But it's like he says something and then you say it. It's like, so you're on the ball, Bruce.
Oh, it's like he's psychically feeding me information.
First name's probably not
Wait, Bruce B. Campbell? That's really a pseudonym for Brian Callahan.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There's a Brian Chainsaw Campbell that is a longtime supporter.
Chainsaw?
Our most in all the
Yeah.
most addressed.
And he's very active and interactive and participates in like all of our filmmaker Q&As and
Oh, it's him.
So hi Brian, if that's you.
That is him. He just said it was him. No wonder he's on the ball. He knows this better than you do.
So because I did post the YouTube link in our event. So
Oh, nice. Thank you for doing that.
Well.
So
Will there be opportunities for virtual VIP if there are these movies that, only VIPs get to see for those who can't be there physically?
From
The VIP event?
The VIP event? No, you have to be there.
You have to be there physically?
Yeah.
but
Sorry.
you're rich enough.
That's all right.
You can-
All right, I'm driving. I'm leaving now.
You're leaving now? Okay. You'll make it just in time. No.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but the last time I got hurricaned out.
I do remember.
Everyone's got an excuse for not going. Folks, any other questions for Gwen?
Yes.
Okay, Bridget.
Yes. Firstly, I did watch the event in August, and I just wanted to say thank you to you and Brian because it was a great festival, and I really appreciated your introduction and how you talked about Lovecraft and his racism and how we're dealing with that in modern times. So I'm looking forward to those panels on this next festival. I think you also mentioned that some of those films that you showed in August are going to be shown again. Is that correct?
That is correct. They will probably not be shown all together again because we have, obviously we have a different mix of films. And so when we put these shorts blocks together, we work really hard to make sure that there's a mix of content and tone and type and length and funny and not funny. And we try not to put all of the foreign language ones in a row so that you're not reading for an hour at a time. So they probably will be broken up into the different blocks. And I think we have 7 blocks of shorts and maybe an extra, like maybe 7.5 blocks of shorts. So, and then there's also, I keep forgetting to promote this too. Lovecraft Under the Gun it's a 72-hour film contest that we have every year since 2012, I think. The first year. And what that is, it was always intended to try to get our local Portland filmmakers involved in the festival by kind of guaranteeing you a spot if you make a film in 3 days during this certain weekend. And to make sure that you made the film in that time period, you get a line of dialogue and a prop that you have to use in the film. And you don't get that until the starting point.
Yeah, that's so
this
cool.
year, because we're online, we've opened it up to anyone in the world. And if you go to hplff.com, in the Portland portal, there's a menu item that is Lovecraft Under the Gun, and it tells you all the rules, everything you have to do, and you can register for it. And that's going to be kicking off September 24th, Thursday, at, I think, 6 p.m. Or no, noon. I'm sorry. I think we're giving people like a lot of time. We're giving them a little extra time because everything's got to be uploaded.
Noon Pacific?
Noon Pacific time.
Okay.
And I think
That
I made
is so
we made an
cool.
event for it on if you go to the HP Lovecraft Film Festival Facebook page, our like business page, there's an event for it in there. But yeah, it's kind of a challenge. We have guidelines on there for filming safely in quarantine, and a lot of people are probably just going to have family members hold the camera for them. If you have an iPhone, you have a decent way to take a recording, and none of these are like big budget special effects laden projects. They're all usually very creative and very simple things that are doable in the 3 days where you have to write it, shoot it, edit it, and then have some kind of music, hopefully.
Yeah. And
Package
there's
it all in
an
there,
awful lot you
upload
could
it.
forgive with a great story.
Yeah, definitely. So the emphasis kind of on the story, and then the audience votes and the jury votes will we'll pick the winner. So the audience and the jury gets to pick the winner.
Gwen, I want to ask you something about Victor, but before I do, Kat Pulver just chimed in on the live chat. She says, sorry for not chiming in until now. YouTube was icky. Please tell Gwen how much the Joe Memorial is appreciated. So I want you to know that. She just wrote that. So she's watching live from Berlin. So
Hi, Kat.
and then, okay, so that said, Victor is he like your keynote speaker, VIP guy, or what?
He's kind of like, we normally have a guest of honor, and we try to have a literary guest of honor.
Right.
And we when we get them at the festival for the whole weekend, we try to put them in like as much as we can.
Right.
With COVID rules kind of like he's our guest of honor, and we're going to do an author spotlight with him, and then we're going to do a panel with him. And that's kind of all the time that I wanted to take from him, because he does have kids at home, and it's just him and his wife. So it's not like he can drop them off at a babysitter right now.
Yeah, no, he stays pretty busy.
And go. So we're trying not to make too many demands on his time. So he'll be on at least a panel, and we'll do an author spotlight with him. We're going to see if maybe he has time for one more panel, but that'll just be contingent on his willingness and availability.
Well,
and
you've at least
wife's willingness to let him go for that long.
Yeah, you've at least guaranteed Ben Handelman will show up for this. So as he's Victor's #1 fan, right, Ben?
I am. Yes.
Oh, Ben. Okay.
Yes. Sorry. Victor Laval is the greatest living writer. I say it all the time.
Living. Emphasis on living, Cat. So, yeah, that's great. He's a great guy. He's a wonderful writer. So, anything else before we talk about all our geek stuff and let Gwen and Brian go? Anything else that I forgot to ask, or we forgot to ask, Gwen?
I can't think of it. I mean, there's so much in my brain right now. Brian, is there anything I forgot to talk about?
I bet.
Yeah. So once again, the dates are October 1st to the 4th, Thursday, October 1st to Sunday, October 4th. Single day tickets will be on sale soon. You can get your festival packages, it's a really good deal. Like the single day tickets are $65, and then the festival pass, I'm sorry, not the single day tickets. The single day tickets will be $15 or $16 to $27 a day. We keep pulling up the prices, but the full festival pass is only $65. But if you get it through the Kickstarter in the package with the pin and the shirt and the program and like all the other goodies, it's only $98. So you're only paying a little bit more for a bunch of really cool stuff that we're not going to be offering after the Kickstarter. So it's kind of like your club T-shirt. You get to be part of an exclusive fan club.
Yeah, and they Gwen and Brian do the swag right. So you're gonna get some cool stuff if you do it that way. And if you can't, to cover the whole film festival, what'd you say, 65 if you're not in the Kickstarter, or just a day or something? Those are pretty reasonable prices. Yeah. So for the panels and the movies and so forth. So okay.
And I heard that the Columbia River Brewing Company closed down.
Yes. They did. They did a while. Did they close before the pandemic? I think they closed before the pandemic. I'm not sure why. I don't really know what happened there. But there's a potato restaurant in there now. It's called Spud Monkeys. And you can go get a giant big potato topped with pretty much whatever you want.
Alrighty then. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Mike, you remember that when we were there?
Are you talking to me? Sorry.
Mike.
What?
Mike, do you remember when we went to Columbia River Brewing Company?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I think our tab was like $5,000.
It was. I sure as hell didn't pay it.
We were there for 12 hours.
That's why I don't remember too much of it.
No. So we walked in and we got the big table in the front of the window. And we just sat there and we would drink and we'd throw money into the bin and we would go do our panels and we'd come back.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
And at like 8 o'clock at night, the manager comes over and he says, listen, my waitress needs to go home. She needs to close out her tab. And so it was like, we just pushed this big pile of money toward her, right? And then he's like, okay, we'll just assign you a new waitress. And then like at 10 o'clock, he comes over and says, I have a problem. You've drunk all my taps dry.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to charge you for bottles at a draft price.
Oh my gosh.
We're like, that's fine.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. Whatever.
I don't drink. I've never drink. I don't drink draft beer anyway, so I don't think I was drinking the drafts.
No. But there, just ultimately, I think there were like 30 or 40 people in the group, and we just kept coming and going and keeping the tab open
Right.
from noon to midnight. So at midnight, he comes over to the table and he's like, "Yeah, I'm out of beer."
Which this kind of thing is one of the best things about the live festivals. Hopefully next year and Economicon is things that really aren't on the list. A guests and the panelists and filmmakers and everybody that are at a restaurant, talking and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so and if I remember, like Cisco was there, and
Well, he wasn't
Scott
drinking draft
McClay,
beer, I'll tell you that.
a whole bunch of different people. And ultimately at midnight, he comes over and he's like, "I'm out of beer. You guys have to,
Yes, you gotta go. You gotta
gotta
go.
go," right?
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
And he's like kicking us out, but at the same time, his brewmasters are coming in because it's only Saturday. They still have Sunday to get through, and they have no beer.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
like, I can remember Joe was there. This was when Joe was there, and the guy that did the little film interviewing us was doing the interviews on the side of that bar.
Oh, that's right.
You're right. You remember that now, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like,
I
"Okay."
hope I said something profound in my
Yeah,
mistake.
I didn't make it into the film, so apparently I didn't. But no, he sat me down and he's like, "Okay, your favorite book is The Reanimator," and I'm like, "No, my favorite, it's not." But anyway,
You
I-
probably told him the stealing the car story, and he's like, "No, I've heard that too many times."
no,
Didn't
I told
include
him how I loved From Beyond. It's a tight little story, but anyway,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Well,
those are the things
yeah.
that I love about these cons, and I really hope we get back to doing them in reality next year.
So do we. We miss everyone. I mean, that was one of the things for us that was the hardest about having to seeing the writing on the wall that it wasn't happening in person this year. It's our 25th anniversary, by the way. For I don't think we mentioned that, but Andrew Migliore founded the festival 25 years ago, and Brian and I have been running it. This will be our 10th year running it. And it's just, we were really looking forward to celebrating with everyone and being in person and being able to like hug people and, be in your face. And this is not happening. So we're really just hoping next year.
Well,
For next year, everyone in America needs to keep wearing their masks so that we can push this thing down and like get back into in person.
as Sam Gamgee said, even the darkness will pass. It's just a matter of time. So, thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Brian. Off screen.
Thank you.
Yeah. HPLFF.com, October 1st through the 4th. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
And it'll be a great time. So, yeah.
And thank you for, so Mike, you having these chats with people, being able to see each other and chat with each other, and like hopefully our panels and live interactive presentations and the Discord server keeps everyone kind of interacting together and keeping this community going until we can be in person again.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
and Brian are a big part of that. And, I hope that we help every week by, I get a lot of email. I share some of them with you panelists that people get a lot out of feeling like they're almost in the same room with us chatting and hanging out. So it's a good thing. So thank you, Gwen. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And I guess I'll see you on the panel sometime Sunday.
Yeah.
So week from
I'll be in
Sunday.
touch. Okay.
So, I
Thanks,
think.
everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Brian.
Bye.
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 So, hey, remember HPLFF.com, and hey, we did a Patreon podcast. We're doing those live now, just like we did do this, only just for Patreons. So if you are a patron, just Google Lovecraft eZine Patreon. It's only $5 a month to watch or listen to all the podcasts. I still do the audio version a week or so later. so you can listen to it on iTunes and everything. But we're doing that now too. Now, I thought you were about to get murdered, but I think it's your wife, Pete.
Yeah.
So,
That's my
but
wife.
you might still get murdered, but it is your wife. The latest Patreon podcast was really fun. We discussed 4 movies: Daniel Isn't Real, The Babadook, I Trapped the Devil, and Z. And my question was, what theme do these movies share? Now, I'm not going to get into it because we got into it then, but it was a really interesting discussion. So if you're a patron, check that out. I don't have the audio up, but the video is. So, you know, and if you aren't a patron, like I said, less than the cost of a McDonald's meal, one every month. So it's one way to look at it. All right, what do you want to talk about? Rick wants to talk about The Boys, and he wants to talk about Lovecraft Country, right?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, The Boys is getting very interesting. I mean, I never read the comic book, but you finally saw what would happen if 2 superheroes had sex together in this week's episode.
Yeah, well, I saw it in Smallville too, but yeah. Is that all you have on The Boys? Is the sex thing?
Oh, man, there's more.
Okay.
But you led with that.
Yeah.
I led with that.
Why not?
I did read the comic, and while there was a lot of that going on, they didn't make anything special out of it. So whatever the show did is unique to it. In fact, I think most of this season has no analog in a comic book. So I'm kind of curious what direction they're going, because there's a lot of things they do in the comic that I'm pretty certain, Garth Ennis could get away with it with a small publisher. Well, Dynamite. I don't know if they're a small publisher or not, but I don't think Amazon's going to be cool with some of the crazy stuff they did in the comic book.
And neither would the comic book. Do they have all those swear words in the comic book?
The comic book is like NC-17 level, like it's really graphic sex and violence and language and everything. So,
oh, okay. There you go. Anyway,
extremely graphic. So I'm pretty sure the show mentions Herogasm, for example.
Herogasm?
That's what they call it, like this convention where all the superheroes go to have like a bunch of random sex.
Okay, that's all I need to know about that.
Yeah,
Rick?
Yeah, there's a reason I won't watch the show. I'll put it that way. So
I haven't read the comic book.
Some of the themes in the comic book were pretty not stuff I'm comfortable, going through a second time. So
okay. Yeah, so okay, go ahead, Rick. You had more to say.
Yeah. I'm really getting to like Giancarlo Esposito as the villain. Plays the head of the corporation.
Say that again?
Did I get his name right? Giancarlo Esposito?
He's also in The Mandalorian, right?
He's in The Mandalorian, and I think he was originally on Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he's most famous for his role as Gus Fring in Breaking Bad. And he's actually been in like tons of stuff.
You're talking about the guy who runs the corporation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Was he in the new Creep Show, one of the episodes with Tobin Bell? The one on Shudder?
I think you are correct.
What I'm not grasping so far, maybe I'm missing so far, Rick, this guy seems to have, look, he's basically an evil Superman. He's got Superman's powers, basically. He's the most powerful man on the planet. But he seems, the corporation, the CEO seems to have, this influence on him. He talks him down, tells him to get out of his office at one point, and Homelander does. Not sure why. It's a social thing.
Yeah. Homelander is getting more and more psychotic, and it's becoming apparent to everybody that he is.
Yeah.
Which is what was interesting in this one. And Stormfront, this new character, is playing some very complicated game I can't figure out.
Yeah, it's like she made him unpopular, and then he had to come to her for help to become more popular.
Right.
And he's appreciative of it when she did it to him in the first place, which, I mean, I guess, I don't know.
There is, I saw one thing they did very well. There's a scene where you're saying, "Oh my God," and it turns out to be a total fake out.
Oh yeah. But
Well,
I was buying it. I thought he finally broke.
Well, when that happened, it was sort of like Dr. Manhattan going bonkers. And when he did that I think it's in the comic book as well.
In the comic, he teleports everybody out of the studio. In the movie, he teleports from the studio onto Mars. I don't think he kills anybody in the movie by doing it. But I think I don't remember. Do a couple people have heart attacks when they're teleported out or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
In the comic,
I think you get the impression that Manhattan killed everybody in the movie.
So, okay. You want to talk about Lovecraft Country?
Lovecraft Country has been very good in that it's raising the theme of there are these things you like in science fiction and fantasy, but they're problematic, and you have to grapple with accepting them. That was mainly the theme of the first episode, where Atticus, the hero, has to read, he's reading Princess of Mars, and is sort of glossing over the fact that it's been an ex-Confederate officer. And we have that throughout our literature, with Lovecraft having to accept his flaws. And I think that's something we all have had to deal with in the literature we like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you see that in the TV show that was on AMC, Hell on Wheels. I mean, I think the main character was an ex-Confederate officer in Hell on Wheels.
I thought that show actually did a very good job of portraying a diverse West, and I thought that they were pretty frank about how people treated each other pretty badly. So I actually enjoyed that series. But
I did as well.
Getting back to Lovecraft Country, they do things that are anachronistic, but you just accept it and go with it because I'm really enjoying the storytelling. So far, I've only watched the first 4 episodes. I think the music is fabulous. I think the look is great. For the most part, I'm really enjoying the script, and I think the acting is quite good. So I think for me, it was a lot more entertaining than the book. Well,
yeah.
But
the anachronism doesn't bother me. That's where they play like Whitey on the Moon, which is from the moon.
Right. No, but that was so perfect for that scene.
Right. It's perfect for the scene.
But I mean, in terms of like them being very familiar with things that hadn't been published into the mainstream, and they're all familiar with it already, which I don't even want to go into. But
like they were familiar with Lovecraft's poem.
Right. It's like that didn't come to light for decades later, from the 50s.
It's possible you could have found it, but very unlikely.
But I don't care. I don't care because I'm super enjoying this series, and I can't wait to see where they go with it. My wife is not watching it with eZine Movie Night because we're watching like 2 episodes at a time. So she's not waiting for me. She's already seen episode 5, and she's sort of lording it over me how much I'm going to like it. So.
Really?
Well, I'll lord it over you too because episode 5 is awesome.
Even though you probably guessed for a long while how it was going to end. Episode 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to go off in a totally different direction with episode 6. It's something that's done in the book, which we've been hitting at all along. And that's going to be interesting to see what they do with that.
Well, Matt Carpenter just, you know, if Matt Ruff is watching, he's like, I'm never coming on this show again. He was on the show a couple of weeks ago. No, he's not like that. But I'll nail it down further by saying, I thought, I'm going to disagree with all of you. I loved the first episode. And then I felt a bit let down by the second episode, but I thought it was really good. And now my interest is just dropping sharply. I've seen the first 3, and it's just like, if I have to force myself to watch an episode, then I'm like, okay, there's a book I could be reading or something else I could be doing. But that's just me. It doesn't mean I'm right. It's just the way it's hitting me. So
I think they do a good job as trying to not make every episode the same.
yeah,
In that trying to think, it's the 4th episode, we had an Indiana Jones type plot, which was somewhat in the book. And I really got a kick out of that.
But one of the things that I remember Matt Ruff saying is that he pitched this originally like a X-Files, where there were going to be individual episodes with Monsters of the Week, but there was also going to be an overarching story arc.
yeah.
And they are doing that, definitely. I mean,
I think it's being accomplished, yeah. And that means that some standalone episodes are going to be hit, and some of them are going to be a miss with individuals.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Yeah.
I also appreciate the actors who are excellent.
Yeah.
They really are.
Lady who does Letitia and the other one who does his sister Ruby, those were just incredible.
And you know, I don't know, and that's probably it, Pete, because it's sort of like, you know, you ever taken you're dying for a Coke and you take a drink and it's Kool-Aid, and you like Kool-Aid, but that's not what you were expecting, so you're disappointed. It's sort of like that, you know, possibly. So you know, I hasten. A lot of people watch this show. A lot of people listen to this show. So I always hasten to add when I say I don't like something. It's just, it doesn't mean I'm right. It's my personal feeling on something, and most of you seem to really like it. So there you go.
Right. So, you know, I think that people, the show is called Lovecraft Country, so they expect every episode to be Lovecraftian. And I think what we're seeing is that that might be like some of the overarching storyline, but individual episodes are going to be more an exploration of pulp fiction as a whole.
Well, the source material isn't really Lovecraftian. The idea of Lovecraft Country is metaphorical, that this is this pulps writer who wrote in a prejudiced world, and it's more like they're going into this world of like almost pulp fiction, and the overarching racism that it's involved with. It's kind of like the book has very little itself to do with Lovecraft. A lot of the horror isn't cosmic horror.
Agreed.
You know, a haunted house is not a Lovecraftian thing, which was episode 3. But I still enjoyed the hell out of it. It didn't matter to me. You just can't go in. It's the unfortunate connotation of his name that, oh, you're going to get Lovecraftian horror, but that's not what Matt Ruff meant at all, I don't think.
Yeah, and you can like the content or not like the content. You can like an episode or not like an episode. What I don't have patience for and won't put up on any of my forums is people, you know, oh, they're ruining Lovecraft. Look,
there are plenty of other writers who have ruined Lovecraft for you.
Yeah, just
yes.
Jesus. I mean, try and have a little empathy for what people of color go through and shut the hell up if you can. So, or as Linda Addison would say, you're welcome. I hope you just learned something. So,
last week's episode was an homage to a classic horror story. And since some people haven't seen it, I'm not going to mention which, but you'll catch it right away. And what was a little interesting is, if you watch the episode, there's a scene in the last scene in the department store. There was something on television, and it's a film adaptation with Michael Rennie of the classic novel they're borrowing from.
okay. Well,
can I make a couple comments?
sure.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah.
All right. Never mind.
Go ahead.
Go, Ben.
Come on, Ben. I want to hear.
I was
Are you
kidding.
sure? I don't want to interrupt again.
I was
Are
kidding.
you good? Okay.
Yes. I'm good.
No, I was just commenting. So the anachronism thing, not that they give a good explanation for it, but they do make it very clear that the uncle, who's in the first couple of episodes, he's a huge science fiction fan, right? So he has all the pulps and fanzines and they have a scene where Atticus comes in and he starts going through, and he pulls out like some extremely rare, like The Outsider hardcover or something. So I'm not saying it's a great explanation, right? Some of that stuff wasn't published in those things. Some of it was in private letters, but they do at least address some of that. And then just the theme issue, this idea of, one of the main themes of the show and the book was that they can move in and out of this sort of horrific science fiction, ghost story kind of world, but that the overall horror of what they're living through, they can't leave, which is Jim Crow America at the time. And so a lot of the complaints I saw from people that had to be banned from the Facebook group was this sort of they're like, oh, everyone's like, it's an over-the-top racism. And it's like, they don't realize that at that time, like, sundown counties were real. This is a real thing that happened. It wasn't just like, oh, this evil sheriff in this show. Like, there were real sheriffs that if they found you in their county after dark, they would murder you. This is a real thing that happened. Lynch mobs were a real thing that happened. You could buy postcards of lynching scenes, right? Like, these are real things that occurred. So this idea that it's like...
And it wasn't a rare phenomenon.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, this was like a celebrated part of the culture in the South, like in Reconstruction and then Jim Crow. So this idea that it's like over the top, like, it's really not. And that's what's really scary to me about the show, is that like they're showing all this stuff and we get the impression of like, oh, this is crazy. This show is set in an era that's not even 100 years ago today, right?
Yeah.
And they're dealing with these things. Like, there are people alive today that lived through life like that. And so I think that's an important part of the show. And I think it's unfortunate that the people that go in there and they just want a horror story and they don't want any of the political stuff, when they don't realize that like the political stuff is the real horror story that the show is trying to get across.
And it's not, quote unquote, political stuff for the people who lived through it, and it's just life. It's
Right.
This horrible shit that they have to deal with every day.
And so
it's cultural, right?
It's cultural.
It's cultural. The frightening thing is that these guys aren't in the South. Chicago is not the South, right? And to see a sundown county in New England, whoa. In real life, there may not have been sundown counties in New England, in the South, perhaps, but to see that, they're not to see the same kind of thing.
I'm sorry, Rich. They were all over Illinois.
Yeah, they were.
And why do you think there aren't any Chinese farmers in the U.S. when they all descended from farmers? Is because in the 30s and 40s they were driven off their land by whites. They were driven off all that land, so that's where the Chinese are concentrated in the cities.
And in fact,
there's a place. Okay, I'm gonna say something very offensive. I'm quoting from the guy who wrote "Lies My Teacher Told Me."
Right.
Uh-huh.
There's a town in Illinois called Anna, A-N-N-A, and who knows where it originally came from? But everyone in Illinois at the time in the 30s knew it meant "ain't no niggers allowed." It was a definite sundown town.
Yeah, but was that Southern Illinois though? Southern Illinois is not Chicago area.
Well,
I mean,
Chicago, it's Chicago. It's like they were free to like live in their one neighborhood or get their ass
Right.
kicked.
Right.
But
And
to-
then but there were sundown towns throughout the Midwest.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Were
to
they
be
in New
clear-
England as well? I
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
to be clear, the framing story, right, is the uncle publishes these guidebooks, right?
Right.
Those guidebooks are based on green books, which is a real thing that
Mhm.
Yeah.
first it was written for the Jewish community, but then for the African American community. And the idea was, in the South, you didn't need a green book. If you showed up at a motel, there would be a sign right out front telling you if you were black, if you could stay there or not,
Mhm.
right? But if you were in Maine, it was considered like racism was considered something like you weren't public about. So there wouldn't be a sign. You would just show up and they wouldn't serve you, or they'd run you out, or they'd slash your tires or whatever. So these green books were to allow you to know what towns are safe, what restaurants to go to. So that's, now the show hasn't really played up this aspect. In the book, that was actually one of the key parts to the first quarter, is this idea that they're researching for their book as they travel, so they can publish
Right.
a new guide
Right.
of new, like, hey, this is a safe place to stay.
They're
You can
going
get
through
gas at
crap
this
so
place.
that they can help other people
Right.
of color avoid it.
So, and if you even look in California, for example, part of the reason the Watts Uprising occurred is because a lot of the things that were happening in the South dealing with segregation, well, Los Angeles wasn't segregated in the same way. It wasn't public, but it was still the same problems, right? If you lived in Watts, your grocery stores were all white owned. The food was trash, right? The prices were sky high. You were not allowed to buy a home outside of those areas, right? Because the lending companies wouldn't give it to you. They had covenant contracts, so you couldn't buy in other neighborhoods. So even though it wasn't the public, like, legal enforcement, there was still that cultural level of enforcement that was still causing all these issues.
Mhm.
That was, New England was incredibly racist back in the 20s, 30s, 40s. I mean, Lovecraft wasn't by himself with those thoughts. So, like, as much as we try to play up, or you hear certain Lovecraftian biographies, they try to downplay, like, oh, he was a man of his time or whatever. But, like, that's part of the problem, is he really, this was a common thing. Like, him being racist wasn't that big of a deal to most people back then. Whereas nowadays, like, he'd be ostracized. Back then, who cared?
Before we move on, the last thing I'll say is that before we move on, because I do some of the topics here, that was it the first episode? That sundown slow race car scene was magnificently tense.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
that
really
was
was.
so well done. Oh man, and I won't spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. It was really, really well done. My wife's at work, Ben, and she's watching live, and she just told me I can't be mean to you. So, well, there you go. So, so the guys who directed The Endless, and I forget the other film.
Spring?
Spring, yes. Several Lovecraftian films. Aaron Benson and Justin Moorhead, or do I have that backwards? Anyway, these guys are great filmmakers, and they've got a new movie coming out. I don't remember when, but it's called Synchronic. Looks like they got a big budget, and these guys are going mainstream because they've got Anthony Mack, and I forget who else in there. And this looks really, really good. One of the reviewers, I saw the trailer for Synchronic, and one review called it a Lovecraftian nightmare. So I can't wait to watch this thing. I don't remember when the release date is, but these guys are good filmmakers. I really enjoyed The Endless. You guys saw that, right? We talked about it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So if you're not aware of that, look for that. We've got the. I'll keep this very short, but I have to say, Pete, we have to wait a year, but the upcoming Justice League Snyder Cut, whatever the hell you want to call it, I learned something that I suspected, or that I really knew, and that you knew, is that Zack Snyder really likes Leonard Cohen's song Hallelujah. So because he played it in Watchmen, I can't hear the song anymore without thinking about that scene in Watchmen. And The trailer for the Zack Snyder Justice League it's all hallelujah. There's no spoken dialogue, until the very, very end. So,
Yeah, listen, we're talking about movie release dates. I don't know what movie release dates even mean anymore.
yeah, it's going to be on HBO Max, which I guess is the new home for all things DC content. So
I guess I'm sorry. What? Say that again.
Which I guess is going to be the new home for all things DC content.
Yes, but I guess New Mutants made it out into theaters.
It did.
And yes,
Why?
for 3 days.
It did, yeah.
And why would anyone watch that?
Well, apparently it's supposed to be kind of good.
I heard the opposite.
Well,
okay. Well,
I heard that it's not great, but it was good.
Well, I heard it was it was appropriate. It was scary, meaning it wasn't a typical superhero movie. It was more like Brightburn kind of feel, right? So that was good. I don't, but
I thought Brightburn didn't live up to its potential. If that's what you're talking
really,
about.
I thought Brightburn was fantastic. And they left it open. I thought in the credits or something.
It's like, what would an evil Superboy do? Okay, he did it all. Okay, you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I think the New Mutants film is kind of based on the Demon Bear saga.
Yeah.
So that is a horror story. So I don't know, but my point is that film release dates mean nothing these days.
No, but this isn't going to be in theaters.
Yeah,
it's going to be on HBO Max.
Yeah,
and
so it should hit when they say.
Yeah.
Kind of like Mandalorian or something else like that, right? So.
Speaking of movie dates meaning nothing, there's a movie that I'm really looking forward to that Matt made me aware of a couple months ago called Antlers.
Yeah.
Yes.
It got pushed. I was waiting for that in July.
Yeah, it was supposed to be out in April, actually. That was the original date, and now it's been pushed to
next year,
February, which is meaningless. What the hell? Why
just
don't they just
release it on streaming.
Amazon, and other streaming services, because it looks damn good.
Yeah, it sure does.
Kerry Russell, who was in The Americans, and apparently she kind of likes horror movies because she was also in Dark Skies, which I thought was very, very effective. You guys seen that?
I did see Dark Skies.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
we watched it on movie night. Was that a month or so ago, Matt? Dark Skies?
Yeah, I think we did. Let me check.
I thought it was a really effective film. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I wouldn't go watch a trailer or read anything about it. I'd just go in cold. Of course, I say that a lot, but it's a really good movie. It's very tense, very.
Yeah, we did watch that. It's kind of like, I'm sorry I said so much about coherence, because it's better if you go in not knowing anything about the movie.
Yeah.
It's both. I've really enjoyed a lot of the shows we've watched lately. There's some good stuff out there.
There's some great stuff out there. And, this is why I watch a lot of small independent films that don't get a lot of. And I agree. I watch a lot of garbage. But I do end up.
So we don't have to.
Yeah.
Then you tell us about the good ones.
And I tell you about the good ones. Yes.
And you tell us to avoid the bad ones too, though, in fairness. Most of the time. Except sometimes you mention a bad one, you say it was really good, and it really, let's be fair, it wasn't. Like Alligator People or something. Or Matt with Big Ass Spider, that movie he's obsessed with.
It's a fun movie, Mike. It's nothing more than a big fun monster movie with a lot of laughs.
Quit trying to make Big Ass Spider happen.
What was the movie, Matt? Didn't you mention a movie? Was it about a fishing boat? Was it an Irish movie or?
Oh, we watched that one. What was that called?
What was that called? Was that any good?
Let me see.
Sea Fever.
Yeah, it's okay. It's very interesting, very well done on a low budget, pretty intense. Some thoughtful, scary or nerve-wracking bits.
What? I'm sorry, I missed the title.
What was the name of that film?
Sea Fever.
What was it? Sea Fever?
Sea Fever.
Sea Fever?
And, yeah.
Sea Fever? Okay.
Sea Fever. SEN Fever.
Okay, got it.
And, the problem I have is like a lot of people build it as a piece of cosmic horror. And it's not cosmic horror. It's actually a really, really interesting remake of The Voice in the Night, which we might know better
Ooh,
as The
That's
Tango.
a good story, man.
Yeah.
I
Oh, wow.
enjoyed the
Now I
movie.
got to see Sea Fever.
It's not a high budget movie, but it's really well acted and believable the way it happens.
Yes.
So we get a modern American version as opposed to a Japanese version.
No, it's set in Ireland, I think.
Yeah.
Ireland. Okay.
It had some of the same fear and suspicion I thought of The Thing, the Carpenter's film.
Yes.
Well, getting back to Antlers real quickly, I just want to say I agree with you guys. I wish they'd stop with the delays till, just deal with the real world and release it on, on streaming like almost everything else is being released these days, because it looks like a damn good film. And I think, I haven't read much about it and I don't intend to, but I've heard a rumor that there's some sort of tie-ins or whatever with Pan's Labyrinth. I mean, it's produced by Del Toro. Antlers is. So, who knows?
So now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering if, look, people are, if filmmakers and distribution companies are playing the odds. They're trying to figure out where they're going to make their book. If they're going to make money, it's going to be in the theaters. But some production companies can't wait that long.
Right.
They need to release it and just make some money back quick. So they're going to go with the streaming service. But other companies are like, no, you know what? We put a lot of money into this investment. We can hold on to it for 6 months or 8 months or a year. And, wait to release it. But the other factor there is that, and this is an interesting sideline, because a lot of production is shut down, there might be in the future a dearth of film in the theaters.
That's true.
So it might be nice to sit on your film, your mediocre film, and release it once we get back to normal. And because you're only one of 5 films out right now.
I actually wonder about that because, okay, now I live in a small Midwestern city, and whenever I go to the movies, the theaters aren't even a quarter full for like the new run flicks. It's like,
same here.
I've had one where there's only like 4 or 5 families in the movie theater, for example, or I think once Isabel and I got a private show. It's like, now I know you have to spend $100 for a popcorn and a Coke, but it's like, how are they making any money? It's like, is the studio, do they like own an interest in the company that owns the movie theater and they want a venue to have so many screens open? But I just don't see how these megaplexes are making any money right now. I kind of think it's a money loser model.
It's like the drive-in theater here.
Oh, cool, Mike. Wait, what?
Yeah.
I went to visit Mike, believe it or not. I went to a wedding in Dallas.
What do you mean, believe it or not?
A family that I've known for like over 30 years. And I drove down to Corsicana to try and catch COVID from Mike. At any rate, so I'm driving the 45 minutes from Dallas to Corsicana. The number 1 building I saw was churches. The number 2 buildings was gentlemen's clubs.
Exactly.
And then the thing that was really cool was I passed halfway between. There's a drive-in movie theater with like 8 different screens.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. It's about a 25.
Awesome. I wish
that's awesome.
Where I'm at.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. It's great. And what I'll say about that theater, and it's probably true about a lot of the small town theaters, and probably almost all drive-in theaters these days in the United States, is they do not make money on your ticket sales, man. They make money, so don't smuggle in your popcorn. Come on. Go buy popcorn from them. Go buy a hot dog and Coke from them.
There were drive-in theaters when I was in high school, and generally it'd be 2 guys in the car and 3 in the trunk when we would
but these days, for these guys to make money, they make it at the concession. They don't make it from your ticket.
Yeah, hence all the cartoons. 3 minutes to showtime. You need to have those cartoons so you can get up there and get to the concession stand.
Actually, at this
in the
theater
drive-in.
that you're talking about, Matt, they still do those old timey. It's really cool. Let's all go to the lobby. You know, they play that one to get ourselves a treat. I got Bridget dancing in her chair already.
Yep.
One's all
I
from the
remember.
1950s or 60s.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, even in a non-apocalypse year, they're not making money because you showed up in your car, you know, and smuggled in all your Cokes and popcorn. They make money because you go up to the concession.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
so a lot of I won't go to the movie theater because the movie theater has lost control of their patrons. You know, the only place, you know, phone calls in the middle of the movie theater, scrolling and searching the internet, all this stuff. You know, it's like, I paid money to see a film, not your phone.
Your phone is flashing in my face, and I hate to sound like an old man, but can you kids not do without your phone for really an hour and a half, 2 hours?
So
You know?
Alamo Draft House, which is one of the more successful venues, makes it very clear. No phones. One time, that's it. You're out for life.
Oh, for life. I love it.
For life.
Because the message at the front here, you know, they play the little commercial, please shut off your cell phone. Nobody pays attention. Especially not anybody born after the year 2, not any child of the new millennium, you know.
And Bridget was nodding her head, so she like knows Alamo Draft House.
I do. Yeah, I lived in San Antonio for a while, and also went to a really cool. Speaking of Buffy, but this was the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. Went to a Comic-Con in Dallas. That we went to the Alamo Draft House there, and she was there to introduce the movie of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was awesome. But anyway, yeah, Alamo Draft House, they're always in and out to, you know, bring people food and beer and check on people. So you can't really get away with doing cell phone type stuff in there. They'll notice.
Yeah, and that's, I said this plenty of times before 2020, Pete. I go to the movies like one time a year, maybe. You know, I'm not talking about the drive-in. Yeah, I go more there, but yeah, it's annoying. I'd just rather wait a few months.
Yeah.
Unless it's something I just really, really, really can't wait to see, and that's rare.
If I'm going to take the wife and kids and buy popcorn and you know, okay, $10 a piece, that's $40 right there. $10 a piece at the concession stand, that's $80.
Yeah.
I want to watch the film, and I want to not be disturbed by your cell phone conversation.
I miss my favorite movie experience, which is, you know, being self-employed for a lot of my life. Like, you know, it's hot summer out, and there's a movie you want to see, and you go in the middle of the day, like 1:30, right? Everybody else is at work.
Yeah.
You're almost the only one in the theater, you know, and then some asshole comes and sit right next to you or something. But
I think that the thing that killed it for me is, and look, I picked a bad movie, but I went to a midnight showing of Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
what? Why?
Because I wanted to see it.
Oh my
That
god.
sounds amazing. What are you?
That's right. Everything with Predator in it is awesome.
Oh my god.
And a couple had brought their toddler.
Oh boy.
Oh, same for
Midnight?
Batman v Superman. You know,
Right.
she's like, it's a superhero movie. It is, but
All
not
right,
for
Kate,
your
so-
And
9-year-old.
you know, and this toddler wanders around the theater through the whole movie.
Well, and I'm pretty laid back, but I said something to her afterwards in the parking lot. She goes, well, what else am I supposed to do with my kid? I said, well, why don't you just not come to the movie? You know.
Okay, you know, and
That didn't
I used
go
to
over
live
well,
in
but-
San Antonio, and there were all those these
Okay, anyone
theaters.
that has not lived in San Antonio here, please
Okay,
visit.
well, the thing is, they had this movie theater at the time. This was like in 1995. Okay, that it was $1 to get in, and you could stay all day.
Yeah.
And no one really paid too much attention if you hopped movie theaters. And I guess they made their money off concessions. but the thing that they had
I hope
was
so.
working air conditioning.
Right.
There were a lot of people who were like of less than robust means that they would buy a ticket for them, the kids, the family. They'd bring in coolers of food and they'd stay in the theater all day because it was air conditioned. And it's like going there for a movie. It's like, I don't even know how to explain how surreal the experience was. The movies were incidental to people living their lives in the theater because it was air conditioned.
Well, my wife is watching right now. She's probably thinking something along the lines of this. I don't know how Mike can ever go to the theater anymore, even if there's not a pandemic, because he pauses the movie too much, rewinds, and says, "Oh, I really like that scene. I better rewind it." You know, so a 2-hour movie takes me 5 hours to watch because I'm doing this. You know, so right now I'm sure she's nodding her head if she's not busy doing something else. We have limited time left, and Mr. Bunting wants to talk about something I'd never heard of, which I think I will watch tonight because it looks really interesting, called Savage Land.
I watched it this afternoon.
Okay, we will get to your other topic next week, Rich. Don't let me forget.
I
just laughed
I
out
love
loud,
speaking of San Antonio and the border area.
Oh my God.
Savage Land, I thought was a mockumentary.
Is anyone watching the show?
I've watched it
live
3
in
or
San
4
Antonio?
times now. I thought it was really, really well done.
It's a faux documentary. It's
it's a mockumentary, not really found footage.
Okay. But it's not it's a faux documentary, obviously.
Yes, it's a faux documentary.
Like Lake Mungo.
Yep.
Actually, Lake Mungo is real. That's what I told my wife when we were watching it. She believed me for a little bit. Then she's like, that really happened. I was like, yeah. And Logan and I were like, yeah, that really happened. That's a real documentary.
It also explains a lot, explores issues related, to the border, to, Mexicans or illegals or authorities jumping to conclusions about what happened because they're, this guy's a Mexican and he's illegal. But it was one of the creepier films that I've seen. And
so I've not heard of this. Is it just out or where is it?
It's been out for a few years now. It's on Amazon.
Rich, can I read just the synopsis?
Sure.
That way people kind of know what we're talking about. This is from IMDb. A small border town on the Arizona-Mexico border is wiped out, and suspicion falls on the lone survivor, an illegal immigrant who managed to record photographic evidence of what truly happened. Now, see that right there, that's a great synopsis. I'm not going to watch a trailer without really letting you know a damn thing, except, hey, this is an interesting jump start. Anyway, go on, Rich.
And well, the way they did it really tastefully, that it's a mockumentary. So what they're doing are interviewing a bunch of people, including a U.S. Border Patrol agent, a professional photographer, an author who writes true crime, who's written about this, and as well as the sheriff who busted him, and they're all telling what they think happened and how they came to the knowledge about what went down. And then periodically they're showing these pictures, these photographs that he took as he was running through the town, and it is frightening.
So this is Rashomon on the Mexican border.
Rashomon. I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh my God. See a Kurosawa movie about different points of view describing what happened.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that.
It's the source of all those TV episodes.
Right.
Where they show the same thing over and over again from a different point of view.
Okay.
Farscape did it once. And
it's not like that at all.
Yeah, it's
clear from the beginning. So what Rich didn't explain was that like the guy was captured, they imprisoned him, they interrogated him, they tried him, he's convicted.
Are we talking about Savage Land?
Yeah.
I don't want to know anymore of the plot. Except I do have a small bone to pick with you, Rich. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. It's not a mockumentary, is it? It's a faux documentary. A mockumentary, to me, suggests a funny fake documentary.
I use the term mockumentary synonymous with faux documentary.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. All right.
It's not funny. Yeah, it's not
Sorry,
humorous
Pete. I
at
wasn't
all.
trying to cut you off. I just
No. Well, you could. A mockumentary is just something that's making a satire of something else,
right.
and in many ways, this is a satire of those post tragedy experts who are brought in to explain what a miscarriage of justice this really was.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
they're all right. It was a miscarriage of justice, but they're all wrong because they're ignoring what's
The evidence, the photographic evidence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I may watch that tonight. That I'd not heard about it until you replied in the email thread about this episode and that you wanted to talk about it. So
one of the things I thought that they got really, really right was this sort of half-assed attempt to do an expose of justice.
Yeah.
And whether that's because they really just didn't have the equipment to do it right, or they were actually willing, really able to obtain that, that look. I don't know, but it works.
Yeah, it's like watching Court TV or Nightline or something when you watch this.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I like the sound of that. I mean, I really like Lake Mungo.
But it's ultimately it is either a cosmic horror event or a religious event or a satanic event, that something has happened.
By the way, I keep bringing up Lake Mungo in conjunction with this, and I haven't even seen Savage Land. But those first lines of Lake Mungo, Alice voiceover says, "I feel like something bad is going to happen to me. Actually, I feel like something bad has happened. It's on its way, but it hasn't reached me yet." I mean, talk about a chilling couple of first lines to start a story. I mean, yeah. So.
Yeah, Lake Mungo is one of the best of the, those kinds of movies, whether it's faux documentary or found footage. Lake Mungo is one of the top.
Yeah.
We will agree to disagree.
I know you don't think they were you don't
you don't like it,
sad.
Matt. You don't like.
He doesn't
Lake
think
Mungo?
they were sad enough in the movie.
No, it came across to me as never mind. It's like I disliked it.
Okay, Tuesday night, Scott Thomas, Jeff Thomas, and I are. Now, I had COVID, but we're trying to get back on schedule. We're doing a once-a-month thing on a Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're basically reading quiet horror stories. So those guys have a lot of quiet horror stories. Scott is more quiet horror than Jeff does. But we're also going to, I haven't told Scott and Jeff this yet, but they don't care, have a short, we're going to have Scott Nickley there this time. This is not a Patreon thing. This is for everybody. Just go to the Lovecraft eZine YouTube channel, the one you're watching right now, and I'll have the upcoming video link up sometime in the next day or two, and you can watch it this Tuesday at 9 Eastern. But you guys are probably familiar with Jean Ray, an author. He wrote several books. I am not an expert on him. Scott Nickley is, and he translated several of his books. And Scott sent me this, Cruise of Shadows. This is my first introduction to Jean Ray, and he's going to read the first story in this book. This is definitely, if you like weird fiction, you should pick up this book. Again, it's called Cruise of Shadows by Jean Ray, Jeanray, and it is on Amazon, print only if memory serves. Just read a couple lines here. It's a collection. Footsteps in an abandoned holiday resort as the cold weather settles in. A door that opens in an empty house. A knock on the door of a hut in the middle of an isolated bog. A lane in Rotterdam perceptible to only one inhabitant of the city. A tavern with no sign serving alcohol and an endless credit that produces no intoxication, promising only the end to an endless street. In Cruise of Shadows, Jean began to fully explore the trappings of the ghost story to produce a new brand of horror tale. This is 1931, I believe this was first published. New brand of horror tale, one that describes the lineaments of a universe adjacent to this one, an extra-dimensional realm beyond space in which objects sweat hatred and fear, and where the individual must face the unknown in utter isolation. I would think that anyone interested in weird fiction, that would pique your interest right there. And I really have to give Scott Nicolay props. I've long known he was a fan of this guy, and now I see why. And he's going to read the first story Tuesday night, and then we will go from there. I may read, well, I can't think of the title right now, brain fog again, but it's in the public domain. Public domain weird fiction story I really like that's in the Vandermeer Weird Fiction Collection. Nightwire, that's what it is, by H.F. Arnold. Have any of you read that?
I read
Oh
that.
yeah, that's a
I
really
read
good
that.
story.
It is. It's really good. And if you haven't picked up the Vandermeer's The Weird, that's a huge book of, and it is available in Kindle and print. It's a huge book of weird fiction that they carefully curated and selected in chronological order. And they did a fantastic job. And thank you, Matt, again, a couple years ago, sent me the Kindle version of this, which is really nice because Kindle, it's nice to have print, but Kindle's nice too because it's searchable, for things like that.
So Mike, any look ahead to your Halloween show this year? We usually get the Thomases and you talking about spooky stuff.
I haven't planned it yet because of the whole COVID thing, and we are doing the once a month reading. But I think what we will probably do is read some more Halloween type stories on the Tuesday next month, close to Halloween. And these guys have some personal stories. They've shared some in the past, and they have even more. I remember one episode I was really disappointed, like 3 or 4 years ago, where Google Hangout, which I'm glad I no longer use, thanks Ben, really went wonky, and it ended the show. But man, these guys were going on some weird shit that happened to them in several houses when they were growing up. And I want to get in more of that, even have them repeat a couple, because there's always new people listening to the show. So that's probably what we'll do, Matt. And I look forward to it every year. So I have more topics, but YouTube goes nuts if we go over 2 hours. So I've learned not to do that. Really appreciate you guys being here. We'll get to the rest of the topics. Yeah, prize, Matt. Go ahead.
Remember, if you want to win this puzzle book, Lovecraft Puzzles, just send an email to ezineprizes@gmail.com. Put puzzles in the subject heading, and in a few weeks, we will choose a winner.
Next week, we have S.P. Muskowski talking
Yay.
about her work and her latest, and her town of Skillet, isn't it? Do I have remembering that right? Skillet. Okay, right. And then Corey, her husband, is going to get on afterwards. Sorry? Corey's going to get on afterwards and talk about the Big Finish.
Who?
Yes, Doctor Who, the new Lovecraftian Doctor Who Big Finish audio drama. So he's gonna talk about that, and I'm going to be able to give away 2 digital copies of that audio drama to listeners. So hey, that's a good thing. Really appreciate everybody watching. Really appreciate everybody bearing with me on the extra time it's been taking to get the audio editions up, and I really enjoy talking to you guys every week. Thanks for being here. So, all right. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next week.